Here we go again, another episode of the Social Mag podcast. We sit down with CHARLIE VISCONAGE, an artist, a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, great personality, someone that has such a creative way of looking at things, not only through his art, but through life as well. It's great to kind of follow CHARLIE through the last couple of years and seeing how he's evolving. And it was just so fun to catch up with CHARLIE. We sit down with STOOPKID Eats as well, the co-host MIGUEL. He got us some food, and he also knows CHARLIE as well. And so it was just a great time. Big shout out to the Block, Maryland location. That was so cool to sit there, chill, and hang out. That spot is great. That area in Bethesda is awesome. Had a good time afterwards. Beautiful day out as well. Please share the podcast. If you like what you hear, leave us a review. We'll keep this thing going. We have a lot more guests to showcase. I just want to share as many cool people as I can. Hopefully build connection and share what people are doing out there. But I appreciate you. Smile, be social. Here's the podcast.
I'm ready.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Well, we're recording. We're here at the Block in Maryland with my guys, CHARLIE VISCONAGE. It's not French.
It's not French.
And then we have one of our co-hosts here of the Social Mag podcast. There's the camera. I was like looking over there. We got MIGUEL, STOOPKID Eat.
Hello.
So we got some food coming too. So MIGUEL ordered a few things. I'm looking at this now. I don't even. What is that? Papusa?
It's a scallion pancake.
What? Of course. Of course. Nothing's normal with this guy.
That is.
It's scallion pancakes drizzled with umami and dude,
The sauce.
this sauce. But yeah, so CHARLIE. I've known CHARLIE for quite a bit. For like the past year and a half or so over the pandemic.
You came to my studio and made some awesome videos of me talking, and those were great. It was a really nice way to promote my work. You know, I mean, I am very comfortable being on camera, and but you made it look really sick.
Yeah, it was cool because we had that interview portion, and then like that vlog style where you're like, come on up to my studio. Like, I love that part.
Yeah, that was
really
super
cool.
fun.
So, CHARLIE, why don't you introduce... Actually, we'll start with MIGUEL. Introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are.
Yeah. So Miguel Rosario, also known as the STOOPKID or STOOPKID Eats on Instagram. But yeah, no, I do some local DMV food critiquing of sorts.
Heck yeah.
Been doing that for
Darn good one, too.
for about 5 years now. But thankful for Lynn from the Block for letting us bunker down over here. The aesthetic of the place is a vibe.
Awesome. This
Here in
place is
Bethesda.
great. Yeah. We got the couches going over. I feel like we're in a little studio. Got music in the back.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice setup.
Yeah,
nice setup.
We got it working. And then CHARLIE, why don't you give a brief intro for yourself?
Sure. I'm CHARLIE VISCONAGE. I'm a self-taught artist. I've been painting. It'll be 10 years actually in October. Been based in the DMV for 13 years, and then later this year in October, I'm moving to Portugal.
Woo!
So
What you got?
pretty
Just give
psyched
him the
about
news. Just give him the straight up news. I love it.
And then, so I got to know you through the videos, and then I've gotten to know MIGUEL through our mutual friend Liv this past year. So it's really cool to have both of you together. I feel like you guys have a good energy, and this makes a lot of sense for you to be co-hosts.
Yeah, absolutely. When we met, we started following each other on Instagram.
Cheers
like
to
a
that.
couple months ago, and cheers. Eye contact.
Yes.
But yeah, Bryan was like, you know CHARLIE? I was like, yeah, I know CHARLIE.
Yeah.
And although it hasn't been that long, right? We used to have monthly get-togethers at Liv's place.
Oh yeah.
Before he moved, and that was an awesome time. You know, that first dinner setup, it was just you, Liv, and I, and then it expanded.
Yeah.
Up until he moved to Baltimore.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah, so I was telling you earlier, we met just like a month and a half ago, maybe more. I don't know. A couple months ago. In June,
Yeah.
end of June. And we were doing a tasting of another mutual friend we know. And we sat right across from each other, and it was funny. I was like, oh, whatever. Over the course of the food, we're like, oh, hey, what's up? Got to know each other. And I'm like, all right, this guy's cool.
That's awesome.
And kind of just evolved from there. And it doesn't take much to get along with someone,
Totally.
It's cool. So, Charlie, we're gonna go kind of back into your start.
Let's do it.
And I know that you told me like how you started in the video, and they could watch that. It's on YouTube. It's on SoshelMag. But like, okay, the art. Let's talk about it, man. Like, what got you going with art?
Yeah, so to kind of take it even further back, I was a performer before I was a visual artist. So, like in college, I had a radio show with some friends. I also competitively ballroom danced for a little while, which is a very like performative sport.
No way.
It was really fun. I was not very good at it, or rather, it took so much effort for me to get to like the baseline competitive level, where it's like you see some people, like I think anyone could be an artist if they really put their mind to it, but some people are just born athletes, you know, and it's like that wasn't me, but I did have a lot of fun with it.
I'd like to see you move.
Dude, you can't drop that and not like show anything.
You know, I need a beautiful lady to take her around the dance floor or something. Maybe we could do that for a follow-up podcast.
Boom, done. That's a deal.
And after college, you know, I got into improv in DC, and I wanted so badly to get on a team at Washington Improv Theater, and I just was not good enough, was the reality.
Interesting.
You know, I was so frustrated, and like many in that position, I was like, well, fuck it, I'm striking out on my own. And then with like a group of 10 friends, I started a show called the CHARLIE VISCONAGE Show. So it was like we ripped off the Tonight Show format, where I would have like an opening monologue, and we had real guests, you know, people in DC in 2011 through 2013. So everyone, like any of the names people might recognize would be like Frank Warren from Post Secret. So if you've ever seen those, you know, that long running blog. Some of their local musicians, and it was super fun. We didn't know how hard it was going to be. It was so hard. But it was like, the other thing that it kind of got me to understand was like, oh, if it's your name on it and you guys understand this and it sucks, like it comes back to you. So it's like you can't just rubber stamp every decision or just like cruise through things. Like quality and attention to detail are really important. And through that show, one of my guests was this guy, Matt Ciso, who's a still living artist in DC. He's like in his mid-50s, and his wife is a very accomplished artist as well. And he was just such an amazing guest. We became personal friends outside of the show. The show ended in actually August of 2013, so it's 10 years since that.
Wow.
And after that, I was kind of like, what the fuck am I doing creatively? Like I joined a YouTube sketch comedy thing for a little while. It just wasn't the same magic, and I didn't really fit into it so well. Kind of going from, honestly, you're the star to like, you're a member of the team. It just didn't really work for me. But with Matt, he was like, hey, why don't you just come over and paint? He had this amazing one-bedroom living space / art studio in Adams Morgan at the time. And I went over, and it was kind of like just getting the permission from somebody, you know, who you respect and trust, was like, holy shit, this is so fun. And just kind of like banged out a bunch of paintings over a few visits, over some drinks. And I was like, damn, I think I could really like push this and do it on my own. So I had like bought some starter art supplies, and I was doing stuff in the apartment I had at the time. I spilled some paint on the carpet a day after doing some Molly, where I was just like I was just like in the depression code, trying to pay my way out of it. And then I'm now divorced, but my wife at the time was like, why don't you find an art studio? You know, because it's kind of taken over our, she's totally right. It's taken over our like,
why don't you do that here?
Or why don't you do that there? You know? So I found a studio in Tacoma Park, and that was kind of like, okay, you're getting the next level. You have a space where you can make a mess. You're also interacting with the other people there. There were maybe 30 other artists there at the time. I would go in super early in the morning because, you know, at that time I didn't have remote work options. So I would go in at like 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 or 4 days a week, and then just be an utter zombie for the rest of the day. But that kind of like got me in the cadence of making stuff. And it's like, you know, I'm not sitting around here waiting for inspiration to strike. I'm working whether I'm in a good mood or feeling good, feeling bad, as much as I can. Because like that, you know, that is a huge misconception that it's like, oh man, I like see this beautiful sunset and now I'm going to paint it. It's like, well, yeah, sometimes. Other times I'm like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to put a single color down. And then it's like, oh, okay, that kind of unlunlocks, you know, just seeing what's going to happen.
Is that to force yourself into it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Where, you know, you just have to start. Oftentimes. And so was in that Tacoma studio for a little while, and then it was like the landlord was kicking us out, and they were moving studios elsewhere. And at that time, I was just like, I don't want to gamble.
Yeah.
So I moved to the one where you saw me at Crestworth, and that was amazing. I had like a much bigger space, a lot of great light, and being able to create there, really helped. Having a bigger space kind of opens your mind to like, okay, I can work in a bigger format. I can take some risks with making stuff, or like make even more of a mess, and it's whatever. And then I got out of that studio space in January, and then I was making in my living space for a little while. And then I've just been kind of painting and creating wherever I can be. Yeah. This summer, it's been in a garage in Urbana, Maryland, where it was 100% humidity and like 90, 100 degrees a lot of the time.
Dude,
but sometimes I just work without a shirt on, and it's whatever.
Miserable.
Yeah, it was.
I love your tan, by the way. It's just like,
dude,
you look like you're moving to Portugal.
Yeah, dude. I was like, dude, where'd you get that tan? Not in DC.
Yeah. So then I was in Portugal in June. We're sort of jumping all over the place. But there, I rented this amazing Airbnb. It was in Vila Chá, which is like 30 minutes north of Porto. Everything's close, relatively. And this place was amazing because it had a huge outdoor courtyard. And so I had brought all of this like tarps and things to be able to paint there. I did not get the express permission of the owner, but like whatever. I cleaned up my mess, but I was able to paint so much cool stuff there because there was direct sunlight from basically 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. So I'd just be out there making stuff, and it would dry so fast that I could kind of like whip through shit. But I would do that like just without a shirt on, whatever, because I'm there by myself. It's whatever.
Flex.
A few times there were construction guys in the house next door. They were like peer over the like top of the roof.
Like, what the hell is this guy doing?
What's up, guys? But yeah, so I've gotten decently good at kind of having my travel set up of paints where I can make stuff, and then know where to buy things and stuff like that.
That's cool,
at the same time, I'm looking forward to not packing up my life so much after a certain point. But I feel comfortable doing that. So it's a long answer to your question,
dude. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So we just got some food here. We'll take a little break to get situated and talk over this food since we got Miguel here. So Miguel, like, I don't know what you got here. You kind of came up with these surprise
Dude, honestly, I hit the fuck it button, but if my memory can serve me right. I picked from block, like background of the block, right? Started in Annandale, Virginia. It's a food hall, predominantly Asian food hall, but here in Maryland, started at the far end over there with... what do we have over here? We have some seasoned fries, some chicken fries, like a spin on the Burger King chicken fries.
Hell yeah.
So from kitchen over there in the corner, we have not pupusa, but scallion pancake, some fried dumplings, pan-fried dumplings, and then Mapo chili fries.
Oh, shit.
And what was this? This was a crab and shrimp fritter.
Ooh,
crab and shrimp
gracious.
fritter. Yeah.
What is happening right now?
Yeah.
Dig in, Charlie. I want to get your thoughts on this.
All right.
And I'll keep it. And what you guys do is I'll just keep talking here.
Now, are you gonna keep all the like crunching audio in?
If you want, mukbang.
Mukbang. Yeah. Full send.
For all those people who have, I forget the thing where it's like they have like a phobia of hearing like eating sounds.
This is it. This is gonna go viral right here. The
all
crunch. Wow, that was a good crunch.
Damn, that's really good.
What is that? Is that there's like egg in there?
Some cream cheese maybe in there too.
I don't know. We have Miguel's an expert in the food, so
I'm not normally a creamsman. Like I don't really like creamy stuff.
Creamsman. Do you do seafood?
I do seafood, yeah.
Right.
But I'm saying like cheese and seafood generally should be not together.
Dude,
I think
I almost threw up in my mouth when you said creamsman. because
stolen
now that you put like personified that
poisoned the well for you.
You personified my my phobia. So I'm
sorry,
mayonnaise.
Oh yeah.
I have a mayonnaise phobia. I do not like mayonnaise.
Not even on a sandwich? Oh, good.
Like literally gagging right now.
I'm with you.
But Charlie said creamsman, and the first thing I thought of was just some fucking dude.
Yup. Busting.
Hello, creamsman here.
busting a jar of Hellman's. Dude, fucking bomb.
Creamsman. Oh man.
All right, I'm going in on chicken fries.
All right, chicken fries. This is great. Thanks for picking this up.
Thank you.
Dude, yeah.
But yeah, this is delicious. I think, going back to what you said, Charlie, like that consistency is far more important. And I think when things don't go right, you keep creating, right? Because it like shows like, hey, what can I come up from this? Where can I go with this? And
Absolutely. I've had years that are awesome, and I've had sometimes a whole year where I've just like absolutely eaten shit and no one has bought anything and like not in the show, just feeling like hitting my head against a wall. But like, I think the only superpower that any artist has is not quitting. And like when I talk to other people or other artists, like they, that's kind of the consensus where it's like all you have is your vision, and you can't be making things cynically just thinking that like someone will buy it. You can only make things to make yourself happy. And yeah, don't give up. And the flip side is like I can kind of somewhat of a sixth sense for quitters or people who are sort of tourists in that life. And like I don't know, I do try to help out younger artists who I see, but it's like there are some people where you're like, you're gonna like give up on this in a year. And so
it's the work ethic or lack thereof.
Yeah,
right. And it's
very much so.
It's always too easy to hit the no button, right? Like the easiest thing you can do is like say no.
Totally, yeah. And discipline is doing the shit like whether you really want to or not. Like
So how did you like? So you opened up with your start on how you started, right?
Yeah.
With dancing and then improv. So how did you handle like, the byproduct of like where you're at today? Like very resilient, but how did you handle failure?
Ooh,
Especially in like the creative space, right?
Yeah.
Because now like you have creatives everywhere. You have a lot of outlets and opportunities, but you have the especially like a young crop that are like, oh, I want to do this. They try it and they don't succeed, and then they hit the fuck it.
Right. Then they're like, bye.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a certain amount of ingrown stubbornness, like where I'm just like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna figure it out. Where it's just like, I think for me, it's like the time that I have invested, it's not a sunk cost. It's like accumulating interest, to do like a clumsy metaphor, where I'm just like, okay, like I think this is solvable. But yeah, there have definitely been times where I'm just like, no idea what I'm doing. And like, I think all this shit sucks, but I have to believe in my own vision. So it's like, even in my, like the nadir of my attitude, I'm just like, no, come on. Like, there's something here. There's something to it. Because some people even in the times where I'm like, fuck. Like, but look, people have bought things or like ship stuff all over the world, and I think then you just have to remember those and not let the failures take on outsized kind of weight in your mind.
That's right.
Excuse me. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but it's just sort of like, I think you got to be.
It's the answer, right?
Yeah, right.
Everybody's sources of motivation are different.
Yep.
But that's great to absolutely appreciate.
I mean, I look at your stuff too. Like you said, 5 years. I feel like that YouTube video. I don't want to bring it up. I'll tag it on here. She's got this YouTube video that I found like a couple of weeks ago.
Am I going to witness your friend breakup now?
Oh man!
But I am just talking about consistency, bro. Like,
I've been ousted.
So I think it was here. Didn't you do it?
It was here. It was here. It was peak COVID. It was peak COVID.
But like, to talk about consistency, you started and you just kept going. You're still here. You're doing reviews. You're connecting with chefs and just businesses. And I think that doesn't even show on what's on social media. And what I like about you is you actually know what you're talking about. And I think
Try.
You take a lot of time to kind of
learn.
understand. I mean, even just in casual conversation with you when I've asked you about restaurant stuff, you're just like so deep in the details, and that kind of separates you from the like, hey guys.
that's it. Yeah, that's what I like.
I love food and I love people, and that's and it's funny, going back to your story, where do you find sources of motivation? I started STOOPKIDs 5 years ago. And I was sitting on the stoop. Anthony Bourdain had just passed. I had just moved here from Albuquerque, New Mexico, which was my first assignment because I'm in the Air Force. And so when I started it, over the past 5 years, I've gone through ebbs and flows.
Sure, of course.
And then, life things happen in between. And, there's a period where I just could not, keep up, right? And so I went on this long dwell period of, posting just minimal stuff on Stoop Kids while I try to address other things like grad school, work, try to find that balance. But it always like came back to gravitate towards the center of like, no, I love food and I love people and I want to like push in full send. And I've been doing a lot of that heavy activity this year.
That's cool,
awesome.
Man. I love that. So moving forward, okay, let's taste these little dumplings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll ask Charlie a
move
question.
this guy.
We'll move into Portugal because I think that's a pretty hot topic for Charlie.
Sure is. Yeah, give you that.
Yeah, take this.
Can I lengthen my cord a little bit? I'm worried
Yeah,
about.
yeah. This thing is super long. Boom.
Damn, hit him with the long cord.
I'm going in for my mukbang.
Here we go.
My mukbang moment.
We'll turn you up. Here we go. Mukbang moment.
Should I be facing here?
Oh my
Good crunch. Oh yeah.
dude. Don't break eye contact. He is a creamsman, actually.
Yep.
That's the sound of a...
Certified creamsman. I stole that from the Doughboys podcast, by the way.
Dude,
That's not my,
Dude,
not my
that is
original idea.
so funny. Wow, that's a good crunch right there. You know what? You know with mukbang, is that how you pronounce it? Mukbang or mukbang?
Mukbang.
Mukbang. They need to have like a hype guy as they're eating. Like, dude, that's a good crunch. Let's go. Oh my god.
Let's fucking go.
I would love to be the hype man.
Of
I
the
would just
mukbang?
like, be the background like Migos, like sound effects. Yeah. Mukbang. Mukbang.
Mukbang.
Mukbang.
Yo, these are really good too.
Ooh,
Doughy.
I made a mess.
You gotta grab me a chicken fry.
Grab you some sauce with that
Yeah,
fry.
eat up,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Eat and talk. I know they say not to eat while you talk, but not here.
Well, here we are.
SoshelMag podcast. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Do whatever. But yeah, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie. You told me like you did some residencies in Portugal and Tokyo too, or Japan?
Yep. Sorry, let me finish to it.
Yeah.
So,
No phone, no mom.
Take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
So, been really fortunate to do a bunch of residency experiences. So the first one I did was in 2018 in Slovenia, actually.
Whoa.
I love Slovenia.
Dude, I had never been there before.
I love totally underrated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was just in the countryside. Like I would really love to go back to the little bit of coastline that they have. But it was a self-taught artist retreat, and it really kind of like spoiled me for the rest of these because they pay for all your accommodations, they pay for your, you're fed 3 times a day, they buy all your supplies. It was amazing. It was in this tiny little town outside of Ljubljana, so like the capital.
Ljubljana.
Yes. It was maybe like 40 minutes from there. A tiny little town that it had like 1 bar, 1 hotel, 2 restaurants, 1 grocery store, like teeny little place. And it had, so sort of the main little downtown, if you could even call it that, and then some housing, and then like a Roma camp, better known as gypsies. Who also live there. So like it was 10 days, and it was myself and like 9 other self-taught artists, many of whom were a little older. But it was awesome, just like getting to meet other people. And I think it kind of validated a lot of my practice, where I was like, oh shit, all right, I can hang with these people. Like, and they, treated me as a peer, which was amazing. And just kind of being there and being like, oh, okay, I don't need to just be in one place to be creative, or like the place doesn't really make my creativity. It's me and my point of view wherever I am.
Yeah.
So that was a really amazing experience. On the final night of our program, they had like a big dinner for us, got very intoxicated, and then in the town they had like a little festival where they set up like a stage and a band. So at one point I was like sitting at a table with a friend. All these Roma people came up because she was like the translator that I was with. She was trying to teach them English. These Roma people, it was like 2 couples and some young women with babies or whatever, and they were speaking to the server, trying to get me to like buy all of their food and drinks. And the server came up to me, who spoke English. She was like, "Are you trying to buy all these people their dinner?" I was like, "No, I'll get each of them a beer." So I was like,
Wait, so you bought Gypsy's beer?
yeah, I bought some Gypsy's beer. And then they were like slamming the beers, and then they got into a fight with the mayor of the town, who was like one table over. They like went over and started screaming at him. And I was like, all right, I think we gotta like back out of here. And as I was walking away, the translator was like, yeah, you know, that's actually pretty good. Last year there was like a knife fight at this event with the gypsies and some of the Roma people and the regular people.
way.
Dude, glad you told me that after. So that really kind of set a high bar for many experiences. And then from there, I was in a little bit outside of Tokyo in Matsudo City in February of 2020, like as COVID was breaking out. Didn't know at the time. So I was there for 3 weeks, and it was like stuff was kind of closing down, but they thought it was going to be more like swine flu or something like that, or like SARS level even. And there's more of a mask wearing culture in Japan anyway. So it was like you can still go to a bar or restaurant, still ride the train places. But I really loved that one. It was pretty bare bones, though. So much, you know, comparatively. Like, the studio space and the residency were on the top floor of what used to be a brothel. So it was like, it had this weird colored carpet. Each room had like a theme to it and a lot of mirrors. And then like Japanese bathrooms in general are amazing, but like it had sort of like a giant tub and then a grate in the floor, because many of the tubs are meant to just sort of overflow. Where it was like the room was kind of shitty, the bathroom was amazing, but there was all kinds of stuff where it was like, oh, okay,
I can do it.
Interesting.
You had a soaking tub and
a soaking tub. It was awesome, but it was very, very, minimal. And it was on top of a pachinko parlor where people would show up like the minute it opened to begin gambling. So it just sort of reeked of cigarettes too.
What's a chinko parlor?
Oh, pachinko.
Oh, pachinko.
Yeah.
Pachinko. Okay.
The visual I get in my mind is like amazing. I just think of like neon lights and everything, and then you just go into this old brothel place and take a UV light. It's just like,
you're like, oh god,
Cream Man City.
Right.
Cream Man.
Nothing but creams coming up in there. I'm telling you
I'm
that.
Charlie. I'm an artist. Let's do this.
They're like, probably don't shake my hand. Actually, think about it. But that was a cool little town, Matsuda. I mean, it's kind of like they would consider it the country. If you were walking around, you'd be like, this kind of looks like Rockville or like Bethesda, where it's fairly built up, but then there was like kind of a beautiful little lake that I would run around every day. And all the buildings were very 80s. So I've done a couple of paintings that were inspired by just being there because the architecture was so cool to me. And then it kind of helped turn my style a little bit more neon, just kind of like being there and absorbing the color palette of this small town was amazing.
Was there a lot of lights in that town, like at night?
Not a ton. I mean, you couldn't see a lot of stars, but it was like, fairly lit up enough, and had kind of a little central area where there were a lot of the restaurants and then a little bar street that was like kind of a little L-shaped where you would slide open a door and there would be maybe a little six-top bar.
That's awesome.
Those were really fun.
That's awesome. How far away is it from Tokyo?
It's like 45 minutes on the train west. So it's like, I would be in like Shibuya and then be like, oh shit, I need to get home, because then the train stops at like midnight or 1, and you would be trapped there until like 6 a.m. or something.
So I had a layover in Narita in Japan. They kicked me out of the airport, so I took a train to downtown Narita, and I like walked around for like several hours. Went to 7-Eleven, got ramen, went to a sake bar.
It is like the 7-Eleven culture.
So good.
Is so fucking
Dude, it was
good.
It's luxury. Amazing. It was like not a 7-Eleven.
I think it's a fraction of the cost too.
Oh my god, God. It's like people really elevate Japan, and I think it meets and exceeds like even the hype from when you talk to people about going. I think, and I mean, I'm a giant man. Nothing there is like made for me, ergonomically speaking. I feel crammed on the train. I had a panic attack the first time I went to Tokyo in 2016 because it was just so overwhelming.
Are you claustrophobic?
No, I'm not really, but it was just like, I think I also hadn't slept for like 20 hours and just like couldn't get on the time. I didn't have an Ambien prescription at the time, so
touche.
But even still, that was a really amazing experience just to kind of be in Japan. I love being in Japan. That was my third time going.
Wow.
And it was cool. It was just a lot of like me on me time, but I still made a lot of stuff that I was really proud of.
What was I gonna say? How long were you there in Japan again?
Like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Still not enough.
No.
I went to Japan
man,
in December of 2019, so right before COVID.
Oh yeah.
Man, you guys were
right before COVID, which was like prime time. It was primo.
Oh yeah.
Japan in December was absolutely phenomenal. Like it's not like freezing because you're walking around so much. I went with a group of friends, and We're taking off our jackets at times because we're just sweating walking around.
Yeah.
Trying to absorb it. Although that was like just a 8-day trip, and I was like, this was not enough time at all. You literally need at least like 30 days to see.
Yeah, it's so endless.
So why don't we dig into these fries real
Okay.
quick?
Yes.
And while you do that, something to think about, Charlie.
Okay. Thank you.
We haven't really dug into Portugal.
Yeah.
So you Japan and then Portugal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how did that transition happen for you?
So, I wanted to do, during COVID, I was like super restless, trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And I had originally applied to this program in Australia. I studied abroad in Melbourne in undergrad, and I was like, man, I really want to go back. So it would have been March 2022. But, they were insanely locked down with COVID stuff. And it just wasn't going to happen. So I canceled that. I got some money. I got my, deposit back from that. And I was like, I had negotiated the time. It was going to be a whole month. I mean, it was a whole month with my job. So I was like, fuck, I can't lose this time. I got to figure out somewhere else. So I had looked on this. There's this amazing artist residency website called resartist.net. And I use that as a search engine where you can kind of put in your creative discipline, and it'll just show you on a map all these programs. So I was like, I don't know, what's open during this time? So I had applied to Belgrade, Serbia, in Hungary, Budapest, and then Lisbon. And then I got into all three, and then I was kind of like, wait a minute. It's March. Belgrade's going to be depressing. Probably Budapest is going to be depressing. Lisbon is going to be sunny. I mean, honestly, seasonal depression stuff hits me so bad here because it's like, man, January, February, a lot of March, just so fucking dark here.
Yeah.
I have one of those lights tube, and that helps a little bit, but it's bad for me.
So that impacts you and your personality a lot.
Oh yeah. I'm like the worst version of myself that time of year.
Interesting. So overcast.
Yes. I hate that shit. I need the sun. So then I settled on the Lisbon one. So it was in an amazing location, this program called Hangar. And I had a little studio apartment and then an art studio, 10 feet around the corner. And then there were 6 other people there. And this time around, everybody was in their mid-30s, which was fun. So the other folks were from Spain, Angola, Italy, and then there was one other American guy. And it was just so cool because we did have a couple meals out, or there was more of a program where we went to some museums as a group and just kind of hung out and exchanged ideas, and then also just went out and partied also.
Yeah.
But while there, I was like, man, I really love this culture. People are not so work obsessed. When it's done at 5 o'clock, it's done for the day. And God help you if you try to reach somebody on the weekend. They're not doing
Screwed.
Yeah, which I think is amazing. That's great. Don't, it should be your time. And so I was loving that. I'm loving the inspiration of places I would see and just kind of, again, the color palette and beauty of it all. And then midway through, I'm a motorcycle rider also. So I rented a motorcycle and then I rode up the coast. So I stopped in Peniche, which is a surf town, kind of very Rehoboth-y, where there's beach shops and surfing and whatever. And I took a surfing lesson and it absolutely kicked my ass.
Yes.
Then from there, I went up to Porto and I was like, man, this place is so beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And I really loved it. And I was only there for 48 hours, but I had some cool meals. And then I went to one place called the Serralvish Foundation, or it's Fundação Serralvish, which is this big sort of blue chip art gallery, where you pay €20 to get in. And they have a very beautiful inside where it's all this James Bond villain, white cement sort of look. But then they have 20 acres of property as well, where there's, huge format sculptures. They have kind of a forest you can walk through. And then they have this big pink house that's an Art Deco house. So I brought some stickers for you guys today, but I made this huge piece
Sick.
called "The World Is Fucked," but this is nice.
Yes.
So
Yeah, this is going right there. In that
Yes.
pelican right there.
cool. So, or we can. I'll send you the big version, but it's a huge piece. So it's like 56 inches wide and 31 inches tall. I just did it on a canvas sheet.
Yes,
But
it
I
is.
saw this house and it was there, and it wasn't even like the most beautiful day, but I was so struck by it. I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so I took a bunch of photos, and then I was like, all right, this is the last piece I'm going to do for this residency. And it took, I mean, hours and hours of time.
Yeah.
Because when I do a piece, so you can kind of see, I mean, it's almost like Super Mario 3 kind of.
Yep.
Like, I don't understand depth because I'm a self-taught artist. But each layer is a full layer, meaning I'm not like tracing around. So
I
like the
see.
blue in the background, first it was all blue. And then I think I did maybe the foreground first. So first it was all orange, and then the blue with the ducks on top. And then the middle layer, and then the house took truly an entire pint of pink paint.
In my head, I just could
An
not
entire pint.
Yeah.
I could not just the like spatial recognition of it. Like I could not keep that in my head. Like
was
just going
so
layer
hard.
by layer by layer.
Yeah.
Trying to visualize what you're trying to do next, and God forbid you like fuck up, right?
Oh no, I know.
The titles on your art is great. Where do you come up with this?
You know, a lot of it is just like, sometimes it's like music lyrics that strike me, or passages in a book that I will just steal. For this one, I was like, you know, like, I mean, the war in Ukraine had just started. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, I think there's a lot to like take the joy out of living in the world we're in now. But like, I think you also need to be able to appreciate nice moments. And like,
Yeah,
when you
absolutely.
find those, you know, don't let go of them. And that's kind of maybe emblematic of a lot of my work, where
Yeah.
it's like, you know, sort of darkly funny stuff, but just kind of like be in that moment and
love
like
that. Yeah.
let it seep into you.
Yeah.
And I had seen, when I was in Porto the first time in 2022, I was like, all right, it's Saturday night. What am I going to do? And so I go on Reddit, on the Porto subreddit, and, you know,
Nice.
many tourists other than myself would be like, what's going on? And then got like fucking slammed by people. They're like, why don't you Google it, bitch? Kind of stuff. They were unkind on the
The internet is making a comeback.
It's so funny though, because people regular
my
people just
God.
on the street are much nicer in Porto than they are in Lisbon. The Porto
Yeah.
subreddit is just like,
Brutal.
you know, they smell blood and they're gonna fucking
Savages.
bite you.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, a couple people had posted stuff. One was like an EDM thing, which like I would go to if I wasn't alone.
Right.
But another one was like, well, there's this beer company called Superbach, and they're kind of like maybe the Budweiser of Portugal, but it tastes really good, I think. And they were putting on this free concert at a bar called Maus Habitos, Bad Habits, and it was like just a showcase thing. I was like, sure, let's go to that. I can stand in the back, it's whatever. And a couple bands go, and they're fine. And then there's this band that comes on called Unsafe Space Garden, and it's like 6 people. Their faces are painted. I was like, okay, I'm fucking hyped for this. And they do kind of like they start doing like a yoga meditation. And then it keeps getting kind of like dark and fucked up as they're like, now close your eyes. Like, imagine your job. Is that all you're going to do with your life? I'm just kind of paraphrasing. And then
Sounds like some of those movies you see now, like
it's
The
like
Menu,
or yeah, it's an A24 movie kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's laced with metaphors.
So then they just fucking rock out hard. They're like a psychedelic rock band, but it's like their music and my art are like same message. Like if I could make
I
music.
think I saw you post that on Instagram.
Yeah.
That was just recently, right?
Well, so I saw them that first time, and then I went back to Portugal in February because I was like, man, maybe I could like, what's it like in the wintertime? So I saw they were playing in a town called Guimarães, which is like 40 minutes inland from Porto. So I took a train to get there, and I saw them play, and then I chatted with them briefly. We had been DMing each other on Instagram too. They're not like the biggest just yet, although I hope they will be. And I chatted with them, you know, they were just all hanging out on the street, smoking a cigarette after the show. And I was like, hey, I'm your biggest American fan. And they're like, oh my God, like, it's so nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And then when I went back in June, there's a music festival called Primavera Sound, which is also in Spain. and they were opening. They put all the Portuguese bands at like 4:30 p.m. like early for this festival. So I saw them, and I had DM'd them beforehand, being like, "Hey, I'm coming to this festival, basically just to see you guys." I mean, the tickets are so cheap compared to the U.S. because there's no Ticketmaster bullshit.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Can I buy everybody a beer after?" And they were like, "Sure, let's chat." So they played their set. It was super fun. I was talking with them afterwards, and just like, like when you guys met each other, it's like when you meet your people, it just feels very automatic.
It does.
So I was like, they're kind of tired after the show. I was like, look, I'm here for a few more weeks. Like, if there's anything I can do for you guys, let me know. And then we ended up meeting back at Maus Habitus, Bad Habit, where I had seen them perform the first time, and I ended up making 6 sculptures for them that they're going to use in a music video.
Cool.
Sick.
So it was really cool to go
dope.
from crazed fan to creative peer.
Something.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
fun,
I love that.
fun to do that there, where I was, in the courtyard in my rented house, using the sunlight to just like rapidly dry everything. And then that got a little bit messier because I went to the hardware store in Portugal. I had like, a tiny little rental car, and I bought all these tools and like foam and stuff. And definitely dripped some paint on that like terracotta shit. It's not, that I was like, God,
Put some dirt on it.
yeah, he's not gonna notice. Just gotta hope other people don't have good attention to detail. But yeah, it was so fun to meet them, and then I think we're gonna continue to work together when I go back. But both, I love what they make, but we also gelled as friends, which was really fun.
I love
too.
that.
Yeah, how much of that is planned vice like spur of the moment? Tying it back to your improv days, right? Like how has improv helped you on your adventure, especially like moving from DC to Portugal? There's a lot of I know there's a lot of English speaking types out in Portugal and Europe, etc. But does a language barrier play into effects there, especially if you're collaborating with like locals?
Somewhat, yeah. Although luckily, everybody in the band speaks English very well, and a lot of their songs are in English because I think that they're trying to break out of Portugal.
I see, yeah.
But yeah, so I think on the improv piece, a couple things. That's an awesome question. So like, one thing that they teach you if you're doing like long form improv is if you start a scene and somebody else brings something else in that kind of like changes it, you go with it. Or if you make a mistake,
You don't say no, right?
you don't say no. You say yes.
That's the number one rule.
Right.
Yeah.
If I was like, "Oh, what's up, Miguel? We're here at the block," you're like, "Nah, dog, we're on the moon." I would just be like, "All right, we're on the moon."
I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
Goodbye, my friend. It's been real. But like, I think anytime I like make like a drip or fuck something up on a piece, I lean into that harder. Where I'm like, okay, now it's gonna all drip, or like now everything is gonna be like kind of this fucked up mixed color that I didn't intend to do. Because it's more fun that way, and it's just like, I don't know, it's not done, and it's now taken on a totally new direction that I couldn't have anticipated, but now it's a totally different thing, and that's really fun. And so similarly, I don't know, I like to be a little Jim Carrey yes man to a lot of things in life. It's more fun, you know? Even if it's like scary or not necessarily in my comfort zone, or like, I don't know, like a lot of my family members are not very adventurous eaters going to the food piece. And it's like, I don't know, I'll try anything once. Like I've eaten like horse meat and I've eaten shark.
I love horse meat. And
It's
when I
really
tell
good,
people
actually.
that, they're like, "You're terrible." And I'm like,
Right.
"No, it's my favorite pizza condiment." Living
Really?
in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Always used to eat horse pizza. I'm like, "Fuck yeah, here for it." Send
Yeah,
it.
yeehaw, bro. But like, yeah, so I think life is more fun when you say yes, lean into the mistakes, like, and then it's not a mistake, right?
That's right.
And I think it's all just kind of like how you approach things. But I think that training has definitely helped me in life. And it's like, I think it also gives you active listening skills where, you really kind of notice people who don't listen. They're just kind of waiting for their chance to talk.
Right.
And at one point at a job, I had convinced my boss to do like we have like training money, and we did like a corporate improv training with Washington Improv Theater. And the most impactful thing that they had us do was an exercise where don't talk until they're like, you and I are having a conversation until the other person's final word. So you really have to listen closely. And then he would stop us. He'd be like, no, do it again, because you were not
I
listening.
used to have a boss that was really particular about that. Like, don't cut me off. It's rude to cut people off in general, right? And it's like, okay, and that really taught me a lesson, because I used to like do that, right? Subconsciously.
Sure.
I'm not thinking about it at all. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but really, like, when you wait until literally the last word and then you count to 1, and then it's your chance to talk and engage, because you're actually like not listening, right? You're thinking about what you're trying to say
exactly.
In the moment.
Exactly.
We should try some improv right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's have to cut the segment.
It could get dark.
Yeah. Hey, mark that for the editing.
Clap. Yeah, that'd be really cool. We should. Okay, we'll do this real quick. Improv. We're at a festival. We don't know anyone. I don't speak English. You guys are buddies.
Okay.
Let's go.
Hey, what's up, man? Miguel, we're having a fucking great time, dude. I'm loving this.
Yeah, I love it. Diplo is banging off a sick set. Hey, how do you like it?
Namit.
Yeah. You like Diplo?
Diplo, namit.
What's your favorite Diplo song?
Diplo.
Where are you from?
Namit, yeah.
Have you heard of Namit?
Me,
No, I don't know that Namit. But, we just roll with it. We're vibing on the music. You looking forward to Skrillex later?
Skrillex later.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. What's your favorite Skrillex song?
Skrillex song. Yeah.
The one where it sounds like fax machines fucking.
Yeah, fucking yeah.
Scene.
Dude, that's awesome. Dude, so Namit.
So bad.
Dude, first off, Namit.
Never let me on a stage again.
Namit means like delicious in my language. So you guys saying that was like perfect in the way you said it. So you guys just spoke a little Ilongo.
All right.
Yeah,
Ilongo.
dude, it was so hard for me to not like say anything back. Dude, that is hard, man.
It is hard.
It is hard.
Rapidly thinking and adjusting.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God.
I like the Diplo detail.
We're at a music festival. Yeah, we had to call it out.
That was good, guys. All right, so we'll wrap this up a little
wrap
bit.
this.
Yeah, Charlie, you eat, man. Yeah, I feel like I'm like me and Miguel have been smashing
a little bit.
What are your thoughts about this food though? Like,
Food's fire. So I recall the other restaurant here, Flying Tiger. I actually love these chicken fries.
They're so good.
Yeah, the chicken fries are solid.
I really like a chef take on a fast food thing.
Yes. Like, in general, I love fast food.
Yep.
It's glorious. And Burger King, for example, I don't like Burger King too much per se, but chicken fries are always a banger. And so, like, a play on, like, to your point, fast food, like menu items, solid, super solid.
Oh, yeah.
The Mampo fries took me by surprise, too.
Mampo fries are really good.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
scallion dipped in, was that garlic sauce or something?
I have no clue.
Freaking
The
delicious.
sauce
Yeah.
is really good. I think the sauce was intended for the chicken fries, but
Is it?
maybe we're about to find out.
Hey, no rules.
It's a little garlicky. I love it.
Look around and find out.
But just to say one more thing about Portugal, I think I really love being there, not only the vibe of people, but where I'm going to be living is going to be 3 blocks from the ocean. So
Oh my God.
something that I don't really talk about or post about a ton is I'm not a good surfer, and in fact I like broke my toe day 3 there trying to stand up on a surfboard because I popped up, and then I'm like, although I'm right-handed, I'm goofy-footed, left foot forward, and so instead of like
Same.
gently gliding my foot to the front, I fucking hyperextended my big toe, and I felt it, and I was like, ugh!
Did you get caught in wax? Was that what dragged your
I must have
dragged
been.
your toe?
Or just like I was so shocked that I was catching one.
Yeah.
Because they come in so consistently there,
Yeah.
anyway. But I was like,
What were the heights of the waves?
so in Matosinhos, where I'm going to be living, it's maybe like 10, 12 feet waves. But
Holy
I
shit.
bodyboarded
Pretty freaking-
some 20 feet waves in high tide, like on this place, Mindelo Beach, where I was living. I was like, I might be fucking dying, but this is amazing. Where you're like, it's towering, and I love riding it like all the way to the sand, where you're just like skidding.
Yeah.
And people on the beach were looking at me like, you are a psychopath.
Yeah.
Because my buddy Brad, he's like, my metric for if I'm going to get out in the water is, look at the surf cam, see if other people are out there. But I was just like, I went for a little walk, and I saw these waves. I was like, I gotta get out there.
Yeah.
So I'm a bodyboarder. So I have fins on to get, but even just like getting out to where they were breaking, was a lot of effort where you're like duck diving under these waves. But when I could finally catch some of these motherfuckers, they're the biggest waves of my life.
Yeah.
So I love it.
That's especially like starting out. I used to surf in college, and I went as recently as the end of last year to Ocean City, Maryland. There's a guy I went to college with in Florida, lives down the street from me in Arlington, and he was like, "Hey, you want to go to Ocean City to surf?" And I was like, Ocean City, Maryland,
crabs, bro.
to surf. And he's like, "Oh no, there's overheads right now." And I was like, "No fucking way." We take a 2-hour drive up to Ocean City, Maryland, and sure as shit, the only people at the beach are surfers.
That's amazing.
And I had not surfed in a minute, right? In a hot minute. That whole day, just eating waves to the face. I remember the first wave I was trying to catch. I was on a shortboard, which is my preferred board of choice when surfing. But I popped myself up, and then I slipped. And then that wave came down and crushed me. And when I picked up my head after I'm like pulling on the leash, the board came back and hit me in the head. Dude, I was like, that was the first wave, and I was like,
It's been a long day.
oh my god! I was like, we've got like a few hours left here.
Yeah.
And it was freezing.
Did you have a wetsuit on?
I did have a wetsuit,
Okay.
but it was so cold. It was still so cold.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's incredible. Yeah, I can't wait, dude. I'm gonna put that on the list to visit you.
You got to come. I've got
Yeah.
a 2-bedroom place.
Dude, let's go next year. And when
I'm-
we go, like,
be
absolute surf sesh.
Sure, we should.
I've never
totally
surfed,
down.
but yeah.
Matosinhos Beach.
dude, it's gonna be fun.
There's like 5 or 6 surf schools right on the beach. It's very easy to get lesson or rent a board. So come find me on the beach.
I'm gonna wear like toe protectors so I don't freaking
So you can get if you wear the
They wear
booties,
boots, yeah.
yeah.
toe protect.
Yeah, you've got booties as an option.
So, all right, we'll wrap this up. Let's finish off strong here. So, talk about the art. Did you have any art to share?
Oh
Actually,
yeah, so I did
let's
bring
do that.
this. So I've been working on this thing all year. So when I travel, working with pastels, and I'll pick like one to show out to the camera here. So I'm going to be selling this at my show. I don't know when this comes out, but
Yeah.
September 21st when I'm there so I can buy it.
yeah, exactly. I mean the episode.
Damn.
But this is 59 because I ripped one page out. It's a 60-page book, but 59 original things, and they're all more or less sunsets. So I'm calling it alternative sunsets and other shit. And yeah, I've been really digging, just like playing with different
Wow.
materials.
Here, I'll hold this mic.
Oh, thank you. So like, a lot of them are kind of psychedelic. I'm a big psychedelics person also. That could be a whole nother episode. But many of them are influenced by those experiences, or just like, I don't know, here's a still life of like,
What's up with
crap.
that time? What's 1858?
Oh, this is like the same watch that they have because they're on 24-hour time in
that's right.
Portugal. So this was just like, I don't know, I'm about like
625 or
20
658.
minutes. Yeah, exactly. I've got like 20 minutes. I'm going to do a little still life here.
He's in the military.
I know numbers.
Yeah.
I promise I do.
And
I
then
like
just
that.
did like some goofy
Yo,
stuff.
that's
Dude.
sick.
So what I'm going to do with the show is have it out on a little like plinth, and then have a bunch of disposable like
That is so cool.
nitrite gloves. And so you have to use the gloves unless you buy it, then you can touch it with your bare hands.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, that's cool.
sure.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I've been excited to just play around with some different materials because I primarily do acrylics and like house paint.
Bright ass colors.
Super bright neon colors, also influenced by psychedelic stuff. But like, and this too has been fun. And a friend, this guy Jackson Berger, who's an artist in Baltimore, he saw me doing some of these. He was like, "You got to check out." Well, now I forget the name of the thing, but there are these pastels that you can layer on top of each other, because it was using these art crayons, which are beautiful, but like if you try to put one color over another, it just blends and looks kind of nasty.
Yeah.
And so using those has been really fun too, you know, oil pastel stuff where it's just like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be like ignorant as a self-taught artist, but there's just a whole universe of materials and things that I don't know.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody recommends something to me, I'm like, sure, I'll fucking try it. Other than oil paints, because I have no patience. But anything else.
It's so fun. I think we're all self-taught in a way, like with video and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, with your food.
Dude, you
It's-
setting up the podcast, like And you started out with the first one, and now you have been like rushing them out.
First one,
traveling up to New York City, crushing these out.
It's hopefully it grows and progresses. So like my deal,
absolutely.
Like I've been really into like transactional relationships and transformational relationships.
Okay.
And people that I bring on, I want to like stay with for like, hey, we're gonna go to Portugal, do a freaking podcast.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
mic up in the water as we eat shit, taking waves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I want to grow with people. I want to like meet people and like long term, like network, connect. You know, kind of like what you're doing with like the chefs, the restaurants, and what you're doing too, like travel.
Yeah,
like,
we're collectors too. I mean, I have long-standing relationships with people who have collected things from me, and I try to make it really clear that I'm insanely grateful. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I am doing. And the meaning that they put onto my work is often very separate from my intentions with it, and that's so cool to see. The fact that anyone would want to have it in their home is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah,
I want it in my home.
I got you.
I was looking at my wall the other day, and I was like, I need a Charlie piece.
Yeah, dude.
Right here.
I love pizza. I was so close to pulling the trigger on that pizza.
Oh, on the pizza sculpture.
But I think you're like showing it someone, or you're doing it for something.
So at the show, I'm having my friend Bryan, who's an amazing artist, who'd be a good guest actually. He came up with this concept where he was like, what if we do like a wall of friends at your show? It's almost like having an opener for a band. So 10 of my artist friends are each putting in a single piece, and some of them it's their own thing, and some of them are doing like their version of my work. So Mike did an amazing pizza, like it's a wood cut covered in resin, so it looks really like cool and shiny. So that one will be at the show, that pizza. But hey, I can make you a pizza sometime.
And I would like that. And what do you call this? So you're fresh off the SQFT square foot.
Yeah, the No
show.
Kings square foot show
At the Fusion Gallery.
Yeah.
Museum.
I think it's a gallery. It's like a event space too. Like I think people. There's like a church that rents it also. Must have been fun for them.
How was that for you? How was that event? That was cool.
It was really fun. I did not sell anything, which is okay. But it was fun. Honestly, I had such a blast. Like having been around here for long enough, it's like I know everybody in the show. And maybe half or a third are actual friends. So honestly, it's just like socializing, and that was so fun. Just be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, tell me about your piece, all that kind of stuff. Like, that was the value of it for me. It was just getting to like, chop it up with artistic peers is really fun, because it's like you are working alone, and like I'm a social person, and so I think being able to have that kind of experience is really fun.
Yeah, it was good energy. It was funny because
I'm glad you came.
Yeah, I messaged him. I'm like, yo, I'll see you on Saturday. He's like, oh, I'm not going to be there Saturday. I'm like, fuck. All right, let me see what I said. I was like rushing.
That happens to me all the time.
I like started rushing. I finally find a park, make it there, and I'm like, hey, Charlie. I was like actually winded when I saw you.
Really?
That's why I was like, all right. I walked in. I'm like, I see you talking. I'm like, let me go take a lap.
And when you banged out like a quick video, it looked great.
Was that the one in the house? The one that you posted?
It was the with the art pieces and stuff. It was like a couple posts.
And I think they reposted it a couple times too.
Yeah, it was cool. And I literally didn't. I was there for 30 minutes. I was just like, get this shot. All right, I'm out. Peace. Gotta get home.
That's dope.
But no, that was cool. I really like that venue. We should go check it out, because I feel like that could be like a space to like get people together.
For sure. Oh yeah, or if you did like a live podcast or something.
Dude, that is cool.
Think about it.
I've done live
stream.
I know how to do live
stream. Let's just improv the fuck out of it.
Dude, I know how to do.
Yo, where's Diplo?
He's on break.
Now mid.
Yeah, Diplo will be coming out later. Until then, you're on.
He's the kind of guy that he would actually come out and just like, hey, what's up? Like
for
2
minutes.
Absolutely.
So tell us about this your final art gallery till Portugal.
So the show is called The Farewell to Charms, which is a very silly ripoff of Ernest Hemingway Farewell to Arms. It is not about the horrors of World War I. It's about
the horrors of DC.
The horrors of DC.
Cheers.
There we go. So it's going to be a bunch of my works from over the years, offered at lower prices for just those 3 days. So can get you a good one for your wall.
Yes.
And then the wall of friends. So 10 of my friends hanging out and putting pieces up to just be kind of a party, hanging out, wine and beer. and it's in Studio 1469, which is in Columbia Heights. Kind of like it's in an alleyway. It used to be a one-bedroom apartment, and my amazing, amazing and landlord rarely go in the same sentence, but I will be using it now.
True.
My amazing studio landlord, this guy Norm from the studio you came to, he owns this space, and just been like a very kind supporter of mine. I think because I always paid my rent on time for the studio, and I was like, hey, can we make this work? I've got like kind of a tight timeline, and he very nicely, is helping me out with all of it. So
Love that.
It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I'll put all the details in the comments, and we'll be sharing.
Yeah, and I'll send you the flyer too.
Yeah, I'll be reposting it.
Cool.
But yeah, so I'll go to that. I got that on the calendar.
Great.
September
21st, 22nd, 23rd.
Okay. And you're going to be there all 3 days?
I'll be there all 3 days.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Right there, guys.
This time.
Yeah. But yeah, that will be like the third art show that I've been to of yours. And the first one was super dope that I went to. It was like in a basement and with the TVs.
Yeah, at O Street.
Who's the guy that runs it?
Amir at Ohm Gallery.
Yeah,
it's a very cool spot.
What was with the TVs?
He has like all of these like CRT TVs kind of
Old
networked
TVs.
together, and it just plays like a sort of The Ring-esque like loop
That's
of
cool.
static.
That's dope.
It's really
I like
cool.
that.
Yeah, and they're like stacked on each other.
Yeah.
Dude, it was a cool event, man. I was like, I felt like it was back in the 90s and just like you're going.
That vibe, just a throwback vibe.
It was
nostalgia.
so freaking
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was so, and how many pieces did you have at that one? Like
I think I had
20?
15 or 20.
Yeah, you had all the shit was everywhere.
So it'll be a similar number of pieces, just with a little bit more room to breathe at this one.
Yeah, but that's cool. All right, well, we'll wrap this up. This has been like
Thank you both. This has been super
amazing,
fun.
man.
Yeah.
And I'll tag you and everything.
Cool.
Why don't you like tell people like how they can reach you?
So which camera should I talk to?
There you
That
go.
one?
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram at CHARLIE and you can look at my website, www.visconage.com.
Let's go.
And contact me if you want to buy something.
Big shout out to Miguel, man.
Yes.
Co-host
Cheers.
of the podcast.
Hello.
The first of many.
Fellow Creamsman.
Mayo.
Mayo boy. Number one Mayo boy.
The Creams Boys.
The Creams boys.
I'm calling you Mayo. Yo, Mayo.
That's if you guys do like a morning drive time show. Welcome to the Creams boys.
What if
Shout out for the Creams boys.
we do an episode, all we do is taste creams, mayo,
Oh my god,
dude.
near my puke bucket.
cream cheese.
Dying on the
yeah, this
inside.
is-
I am going to throw up everywhere.
Can't miss this episode. Miguel's gonna drink all his creams.
That's right.
that
Let's do
on
it
the-
blindfolded.
Put that on the Patreon.
Cortisone.
Paywall that shit.
Cortisone cream.
Yeah, I would absolutely pay well that. Fucking, I better make money out of it if I'm gonna be a fucking Creams boy.
Oh my gosh. Well, dude, I appreciate you. Thank you for
you for
the
having
block, Maryland.
Yeah, thanks to the block.
Can't wait to dig into some of this food and have another beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Appreciate you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Yo, gents.
Yes. All right. Peace.
Bye.